Developments tonight in the search for missing 11-year-old Gannon Stauch in Colorado Springs. Law enforcement is following up on 280 tips. Volunteers have been searching some fields and even a lake. That included sheriff's deputies and members of the National Guard. Gannon vanished 10 days ago. Rick Saunders in Colorado Springs tonight has more on this investigation.
From this command post in the middle of nowhere, 101 searchers fanned out to find what amounts to a very precious needle in a very large haystack. No stone was being left unturned. They searched on horseback through the frozen winter brush. Search and rescue teams from several sheriffs departments and volunteers from the National Guard fanned out through the fields, all with one goal in mind: to find 11-year-old Gannon Stauch. He disappeared after his stepmother said he went to meet a friend January 27th. This area is just about a mile from his home and has already been scoured once.
The reason why we're back out in this area a second time is because we have special equipment from one of our partners, and that equipment is going to allow us to search different areas we were not before.
That includes bodies of water. A remote-controlled device equipped with sonar attempted to peek beneath the frozen surface. Are you having any luck? Elsewhere, dogs were employed to try to pick up the scent.
Our focus again is to bring Gannon home safely to his parents, and that is absolutely what each of us who's involved in this investigation wants to see.
All means are now being used to try to make that happen. While this search is taking place, another investigation is going on behind closed doors to try to determine if Gannon has been a victim of foul play. In El Paso County, Rick Salinger, covering Colorado First.
All right, so we're seeing this was a news report from CBS4 in Denver. This is a little update as far as what the efforts are going, what the efforts are being used to in order to search for Gannon currently. And that you could see through that report that the weather conditions are not too great at all, to say the least. But I find it, hey Mignon, I think I'm with everybody in the sense that it's discouraging that they haven't found anything yet. It's discouraging that we don't have any new updates as far as any new information. But I think it's also a positive thing. Hey, pretty peaches. I think it's also a positive thing in the sense that excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm never up this early, so my voice is still kind of. Anyway, I think it's still also very. I think it's encouraging that in the sense that no news is good news, because according to this El Paso County Sheriff spokesperson, she is saying basically that. That they are conducting their search under the assumption that Gannon is still alive, and they are doing everything they can in the sense that they are acting under the assumption that Gannon is alive, and with the goal to return Gannon home to his family safely. So I don't know why I'm not seeing chat here. So I guess I'm going to have to reference my phone. What's up, Mojo Joe? There we go. Yeah, so I think it's a very positive and wonderful thing in the sense that that law enforcement is hopeful. And we have to, this is the thing, is we're all, hey Wicked Witch, we're all, you know we're all doing all this digging and coming up with all these theories and 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 doing and back and forth with the speculations and everything, which is fine. That's what we do here. That's that's what we do here on the internet. That's what we do here on YouTube. That's what we do with these channels. But I'd prefer to use my channel more. I mean, because everybody's doing that. That's fine. But I prefer to use my channel more as a beacon of hope, more or less, I guess. I prefer to try to point out the things that people seem to be overlooking, and or maybe not putting as much emphasis on as I think they should, or we should be, I should say. And that's that, law enforcement, first of all, law enforcement right now, they've made it abundantly clear that there is no criminal investigation taking place yet. There's no suspects. I mean, it's been 10 days. So there's nothing here to make us think that somebody did something to Gannon. All we know of, okay, and I know everybody's thinking right now, well, what about Tisha? What about Tisha and the interview she gave? And I've gone on here and I've broken down that interview. But let's be honest about what we came up with on that interview, right? What we came up with on that interview basically is that she lies. That's it. There's nothing to even connect her to anything regarding foul play. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, well, what about that footage? What about the surveillance footage from the neighbor? Okay. Let's talk about that for a second. So the footage from the neighbor, first of all, law enforcement hasn't even touched that. As far as when asked about it, they're like, you know what? Even the two spokespeople I've heard talk about that footage, they've both said the same thing. I haven't even seen it. I haven't even looked at it. So it seems like they're completely dismissing it. And I'm trying to speculate as to reasons why they're dismissing it. I'd rather not sit there and go, oh my God, that's new evidence. That's new evidence. We don't know if that's evidence or if there's any credibility to that evidence at all. We have no idea, because the fact of the matter is if you look at that footage, it's grainy as hell, right? There's no timestamps on it. It's edited. So we can't sit here. We can't sit here and look at this footage and break it down. First of all, because none of us are experts in finding missing persons. None of us are experts at analyzing video footage, surveillance footage. And the fact of the matter is the only reason we're sitting there and looking at that footage and saying that's Tisha and that's Gannon is because we're told that that's Tisha and that's Gannon. You can't make out who's getting in and out of that truck. I'm not saying it's not them. That's not what I'm saying. So I want to be very, very clear about that. And it very well could be them. And the timestamps that are claimed involving that could very well be accurate. But we don't know that. And we have to, we have to trust law enforcement as far as what they're telling us. so far. And the reason why I say that, because a lot of people could be saying, well, why trust law enforcement? You know, they're telling us this and they're telling us that, and they have these hidden agendas as to why they would be telling us things and letting us know what they want us to know and blah blah blah. We could be doing all that, but they're being very, very generous with the information that they've been giving us. If we look at past cases like this, a lot of times law enforcement is just basically saying, we'll tell you what we tell you. You know, you get what you get. Whatever we feel comfortable telling the media and letting the public know, well, you're lucky to get that, because we're not going to hinder our investigation in any way. They're still saying that. They're still saying, we're not going to give you any information that could hinder this investigation. But at the same time, they're also being very generous with giving us very consistent updates as to their efforts in finding Gannon. And they're focused on that. We are looking for Gannon. We are not trying to, we have no reason to believe that anyone did anything to Gannon just yet. They have been very candid about that. So instead of us sitting here and trying to focus on, you know, something awful that may have happened to Gannon, you know, let's try to focus on the positive here. Let's give law enforcement the benefit of the doubt here and let them conduct their investigation and trust them when they tell us what they've been telling us, and trust what they've been telling us. I think they've been doing a very, very generous thing by being very consistent and letting the public know where they're at. That news report right there was extremely informative as far as what their efforts are. And I actually want to go over a little bit there, because there's a nice little map there discussing that kind of shows where their search is, and where their search is, and how far it is from Gannon's home. So I'm gonna go ahead and replay that right after I look over a chat real quick. So let's see here. I love all the blue hearts, guys. Thank you for that. And Mignon should be asleep. I'm glad you're here, Mignon, but Jesus, man, isn't it like some crazy time? Well, no, it's probably like only like 11 or 12 over there, I think. I don't know. I don't know what time it is in Australia. So found alive. Okay, so Shannon Matthews in the UK, she was found alive 3 weeks after missing for 3 weeks, and the mother was involved. Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that case, but I mean, these things are hopeful, man. Yeah, Wicked Witch, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. It's like I said, the last time I went live, I discussed that, and I stated that we, you know, I really believe that positivity and putting that positivity out there is a very, very positive thing. It's a very, very effective thing. And personally, that's just a personal belief of mine. And I have to believe that, because although tragically Heidi was murdered tragically, but Margot was found safely, and Margot was returned to her family. Unfortunately, that family is now without a mother. But I trust and believe in my heart that Shane will do everything that he can as a father to do the best that he can to make sure that family is that his family is cared for. And so, but the important thing is that we held hope. We all held hope, and Margot was found safely. and return to her family. And yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, Midsummer Madness. Um we we the public can absolutely be eyes, and that's difficult, because a lot of times in cases like this, law enforcement will say, we're not giving any information out, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. um but they're encouraging people who have any information to call them, and they're not doing anything via social media, nothing like that. They're encouraging everyone who has any information at all, um tangible information, any information that can be used. They're encouraging anybody to call and give that information. um and that's so difficult for them, because so many people will flood them with theories and speculations, and they're not looking for any of that. They have professionals for that. We're not professionals. We can discuss that ourselves here, and do that amongst ourselves, sure. But it's not helpful to the case. It's not helpful to bringing Gannon back home safely. um that's the sort of thing that we need to keep in mind, that's what professionals are for, and we need to let the professionals do their jobs. And we have to think about consider the outcome that we truly want. The outcome that we truly want is not, this isn't a contest about who's right or wrong, or whose theory was correct and whose wasn't. This isn't some sort of weird competition between YouTube channels and subscribers who listen to YouTube, who get to say, oh, well, I called it. No, the outcome right now that we should all be focused on, and what we should all want, is to bring Gannon home safely. So, yes, I think I think it speaks volumes, these gestures of law enforcement that are keeping us in the loop, um within reason, that does not hinder their investigation. So they're keeping us in the loop so that we can contribute in a productive manner. So I think that's great. See. See, it's because we live in the post Twats case, where they hand fed us all the case details. Now I think the public in general feel the entitlement to know everything. Yeah. And the thing is in the Watts case, uh they didn't hand feed us the case details, not until it was over, not until he pled guilty, not until the sentencing. When he was sentenced, that was when shortly after the sentencing is when they released the discovery. Prior to that, we didn't know anything. We theorized. All we had was this Trent idiot, which was just rumor, and whatever HLN was feeding us, which is tabloid bullshit. And we had People magazine, which is another tabloid asswipe. So I don't consider those credible news sources. I consider those people who see a demographic to feed and feed off of, and this very well being that demographic. So we have to decide: do we want the truth, or do we want shit to just talk about? And I want the truth. I want to be able. I want this to be a community that can be productive in creating hope and building hope in order to make sure that this boy is found safely and returned home to his family. Wow, it's 2:15 a.m. over there. Mignon. Okay. And it's 3:15 p.m. in the UK. All right. Well, that's not much of a difference here. I mean, I thought yeah. Right now it's almost 10:30 a.m. here in Tennessee. Hey, Rosemarie Williams, how are you? I'm glad you could join us. Yeah, so yeah, guys, I think it's I think it's pretty great that that law enforcement is keeping us in the loop and keeping us consistent with updates. So I'm really enjoying that. And yeah, I love the blue hearts, guys. Hey, Angel Soul Memories. I love all the blue hearts, guys. Because I think that everybody here in this chat is genuinely very hopeful. And like I said, I'm not faulting anybody for focusing on on possible suspects and things that happen that may have happened, may or may not have happened. There's some interesting theories out there. And there and I agree. I agree with the fact that these details involving Tisha, you know, it makes sense to not ignore them. You know what I mean? There's some pretty shady stuff going on with this lady. It's just that it's just that I am, when it comes down to me having to decide on what's most important to focus on, I have to go, hey, what's up, Breakfast Club fan? When it comes to the most important things for me to focus on, it makes sense for me to go with the professionals involved and assigned to handling this case. And right now, law enforcement to me is showing the public a lot of respect and a lot of goodwill by keeping us in the loop and keeping us consistently updated with their efforts and where they're at in their investigation, short of hindering their investigation. So I think that goes a long way, and I think that earns them at least their trust, to where we have to trust whatever they're saying right now. They're doing everything they can to earn the public's trust. So I want to acknowledge that, and I want to do that. I want to do that very vocally and openly here. So let's give law enforcement the benefit of the doubt here. And if they say that there is no criminal investigation taking place at the moment, then there's no criminal investigation taking place at the moment, and that's not what we should be focusing on necessarily. I'm saying it makes sense to theorize, it makes sense to touch on these things, but it doesn't make sense to focus on it completely, I don't think. So let's go back and watch this video here real quick. Go ahead and share that screen one more time.
Developments tonight in the search for missing 11-year-old Gannon Stauch in Colorado Springs. Law enforcement is following up on 280 tips. Volunteers have been searching some fields and even a lake. That included sheriff's.
Now let's look at that map real quick. So this doesn't necessarily give us a um this doesn't necessarily give us as far as how many miles away, but as you can see, this is where Gannon's home is, and then there's a search area that seems very close by, and then over here there's a relatively close by area too, where there's a large body of water here. And you'll hear them when I play this even longer. That you'll see that they're using a it looks like what something more like it's like a sonar water drone type thing, and they're going back to searching these areas because and the spokesperson for the El Paso Sheriff's Department, she she was specifically stating that they're not researching this area because they don't think they did a thorough job last time. It's just that now they have access to equipment that they did not have before. Now they have access to equipment that they feel could probably help them conduct a more thorough search than last time. So they didn't have access to this before. So they did the best they could in that area prior. So now they're going back because they feel they could do a more thorough job this time because they don't want to miss anything.
Deputies and members of the National Guard. Gannon vanished 10 days ago. Rick Sounders in Colorado Springs tonight has.
And let's also focus here on a little bit on the fact that they've got so many people out there volunteering and searching. You've got people on horseback that are looking in areas that have water, but they're, it's not so deep you have to dive in, but it's not so shallow to be able to walk in either, especially in these temperatures. I'm assuming and especially just to be able to number of reasons why you would use why you would use horses to search areas too, which again, it's not my field. I don't know these things, but it seems to me like they are pulling out all the stops as far as anything that they can get their hands on to conduct a thorough search, and they've got a lot of manpower. And as you heard this reporter say, there's been close to 300 tips that they're following up on, and they have to take every tip seriously. They have to take every single call in. They have to take it seriously, and they have to follow up on it. So when people call and give tips about something that they're not sure about, or they don't know, or they didn't see with their own eyes or didn't hear with their own ears, what that does is that takes away manpower, and that takes away efforts, that takes away time, because every minute that Gannon's out there, we don't know what's going on with Gannon right now. We don't know where he's at. We don't know who he's with. We don't know what condition he's in right now. So every moment that he's out there is crucial. Every bit of time used to and utilized to find him is crucial right now. So they're doing everything they can here to do to manage their manpower as best as they can in order to find Gannon and bring him home safely.
More on this investigation.
From this command post in the middle of nowhere, 101 searchers fanned out to find what amounts to a very precious needle in a very large haystack. No stone was being left unturned. They searched on horseback through the frozen winter brush. Search and rescue teams from several sheriff's departments and volunteers from the National Guard fanned out through the fields, all with one goal in mind: to find 11-year-old Gannon Stauch. He disappeared after his stepmother said he went to meet a friend January 27th. This area is just about a mile from his home and has already been scoured once.
The reason why we're back out in this area a second time is because we have special equipment from one of our partners, and that equipment is going to allow us to search different areas we were not before.
That includes bodies of water, a remote control device equipped with sonar attempted to peek beneath the frozen surface. Are you having
See, that's interesting. So I mean, the thing is I can only imagine. I mean, it's Colorado. I'm in Tennessee right now and it's snowing. So I can only imagine how cold it is in Colorado right now. And just the idea of I shudder to think just the idea of him being in the in one of these bodies of water scares the living hell out of me. And it's and to search for him in this water in this cold, it's got to be hard. So having equipment like this is crucial. But I'm so grateful that they actually have access to something like that to make to where they can actually conduct a very thorough search in bodies of water in these weather conditions.
any luck? Elsewhere, dogs were employed to try to pick up the scent.
Our focus again is to bring Gannon home safely to his parents, and that is absolutely what each of us who's involved in this investigation wants to see.
All means are now being used to try to make that happen.
So yeah, see, the law enforcement's indicating absolutely nothing other than the fact that their goal, as far as what their goal is, they're indicating that their goal is absolutely nothing other than finding Gannon safely and bringing him home. That is why we have to maintain hope. We have to have hope, guys. So I can't emphasize that enough right now, guys. It's really, really important. As far as I'm concerned, this boy is still alive. He's out there, and he needs to come home to his family.
While this search is taking place, another investigation is going on behind closed doors to try to determine if Gannon has been a victim of foul play.
Now, I wanna talk about that too. Now, I don't want anyone to misunderstand what he just said. He did not just say that there is a criminal investigation taking place. That means that law enforcement, aside from the search that is being conducted right now for Gannon, aside from that search, law enforcement, they're not sitting around twiddling their thumbs either. They are conducting an investigation to find out if a criminal investigation needs to take place or not. So make no mistake, they're not just blowing off any idea that somebody may have done something to Gannon. They are doing everything they can to find out if they have. But the fact that they have not taken anyone into custody yet is a good sign. The fact that they have not arrested anyone, the fact that they haven't charged anyone is a good sign so far, guys. That tells me that Gannon, that there's more of a chance of Gannon being alive out there and being brought home safely. So I don't want anyone to misunderstand what this gentleman just said on the news. He's saying that there's not a criminal investigation taking place, but police are doing their due diligence right now to make sure that a criminal investigation either does or does not need to take place.
El Paso County, Rick Salinger, covering Colorado First.
Tonight in the search for missing 11-year-old Gannon Stauch in Colorado Springs. Law enforcement is following up on.
So is this another?
280 tips. Volunteers have been searching some fields and even a lake. That included sheriff's deputies.
Oh, this is the same thing. Sorry about that, guys. And yes, I agree with you, Wicked Witch. If they haven't found anything with that huge team, that is very telling. That is very telling as far as as far as there's hope. Um, yeah, I love that. Yeah, everybody, Wicked Witch is on to something here. Send out your good energy to these people searching and most of his loved ones and all of his loved ones. I hate to correct you there, but yeah, all of his loved ones. Um, because you know we need to keep in mind that when it comes to these searches, no news is good news. I'd rather find out that Gannon is somewhere with someone and just waiting to be rescued rather than being at the bottom of a lake, in these weather conditions, God forbid. um yes, Denise, I agree with you there. And thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you. Welcome. Um, we all have our theories, but for some reason, the FBI is not leading us into a dark place, at least not yet. Yes, this is something very, very positive. And I want to thank everybody who's joining me right now, too. I mean, this is almost the opposite time to where I normally go live, but I woke up today and I had it was heavy on my heart today, and uh, I really felt the need to come on here and discuss at least the positives of this situation right now. And it's a hard thing to find. It's a hard thing to look for when it comes to a situation like this. Finding positives in it, it's not an easy thing to do. Yeah, well, so yeah, I again, this stuff regarding, and it's like my friend Danielle, uh she has a channel called Real Massacre Talk, and don't let that name discourage you, by the way, guys. It doesn't necessarily mean that she focuses on only cases that murders have taken place or anything like that. That's not the case. um but right now she's focusing on what could have possibly happened to Gannon and that sort of thing, and I think that that's also a very positive thing, in the sense that we want to try to understand what happened. We want to try to figure it out. We want to try to put our brains together and try to figure it out. But she's doing a great job of that on her own, and all the facts that I get regarding this case, all of the facts that I get from her. um so and we disagree a lot. On it's funny, we what happens is Danielle will collect the facts, and she has a team of researchers with her that collect facts for her and help her collect the facts, and she does a lot of it herself, most of it herself, actually. And she will and we will end up paneling up, and the only things that we may or may not disagree on are on how we interpret those facts. So make no mistake, if you ever hear Danielle and I disagree on a panel, which you will you have and you will, um it's what we disagree on is a lot of times uh how we interpret these facts. um and uh and so but she's an incredible person, and I'm proud to be one of her moderators for her channel. And I'm proud to have her as a moderator for for my channel. But we'll challenge each other. will challenge each other. And like I said, I think a lot of the focus right now is on Tisha and you know, that 4-hour window. But I'm gonna always be that objective mind. I'm always gonna be that objective perspective where, you know, we've got footage of a red truck, and and two people are getting out of it at one point, and then at another point one person gets out of it. But the fact of the matter is the only person who has confirmed who that is that we have heard confirm that is the gentleman who provided the footage, right? So law enforcement hasn't confirmed or denied anything regarding that footage. They've barely even acknowledged the footage exists. The footage exists. They've barely even done that. So I'm not holding a whole lot of credibility just yet to that footage. And when you watch the footage, it's extremely grainy. There's no way that you can determine or tell who is getting in or out of that truck. As a matter of fact, I'll pull it up and we can watch it if you want. But the more I watch it, the more I go, this doesn't prove anything. So far, anything involving Tisha is even barely circumstantial. There's nothing. There's nothing. The reason why she hasn't been charged with anything is because there's nothing to charge her with, as far as we know anyway. Anything that's been presented to us, she hasn't done anything to be charged with. You know, we see footage that may or may not be her and may or may not be Gannon getting in and out, getting in that red truck. And somebody who can't fucking drive. So, I mean, oh, it's okay, Breakfast Club. Thanks for coming anyway. Hey, Soul Invictus. There may be, dude, Soul Invictus, that's a good point. You're right. You can't be sure who's on that video. But you made another good point here. It is a very, very small piece of the puzzle. Even law enforcement has been quoted in saying, and I'm saying quoted by the guy who turned in the video. So law enforcement never talked to the press saying this is a very small piece of the puzzle. This guy was quoted in saying when he turned it into law enforcement, that's what they told him. So we don't even know if that's a direct quote from law enforcement. So we don't even know how credible this guy is. I'm not trying to disrespect the guy. He's probably a hero. And when I first played the video, I was one of the first people to be like, this guy's a hero. But then I'm like, is he though? You know, now I'm kind of like, is he though? Because I don't know how reliable that video is. When we watch that video, there's no timestamp on it. We don't know if there's 4 hours in between those times. We don't know anything. That video doesn't really tell us anything. So I'm gonna go ahead. And I'm gonna find that video. I'm gonna find that video and I'm gonna play it for you guys. So you guys know what I'm talking about. So here we go. All right, guys. I don't know why I'm sharing audio. There's no audio to this, but whatever. It's fine. So let's go ahead and look at this. I'll let you guys peruse that for a second, and then I'll play it back. So, all right. Let's go back to this for a second. So, how in Blue Perfect Hell are we able to actually tell who that is? Maybe by the way that they walk, right? I mean, maybe. But I can't tell if that person is blonde headed or wearing a hat. I can't tell. I can't tell any of that stuff. Right? I mean, can anybody here really see who's on that? Well, no. See, that's the thing, Josephine, is this video doesn't prove that she was. It might not. The problem is we don't know. This is my point, is we don't know if that video proves if she was telling the truth about time or not. We don't know that. All we know is this guy, Roderick Drayton, the gentleman who turned this into police, the person who turned this footage into police and also leaked it to the press, according to LE, it was against their advisement. So against law enforcement's advisement, that he went ahead and leaked it to the press and went ahead and talked to the press. So, and what did that do? It did exactly what law enforcement didn't want to happen, which was get a whole bunch of people on the internet talking about it, right? Got a whole bunch of people on the internet breaking it down and making more out of it than what it is. And all we're seeing, let's be honest about what this is. This is, again, circumstantial at best. There's no way that with what we know about this video so far, now we don't know if it's been analyzed. We don't know, in all fairness, we don't know if it's been analyzed or anything of that nature by any professionals. And that's fair. But as far as what we know about this video so far, it's circumstantial at best. There's no way to make out what's going on here. There's no way to make out who is getting in or out of that truck. You cannot identify the people that are getting in or out of this truck. Let's be honest here. And nowhere on this video is a timestamp, right? Does anybody see a timestamp here? I see the gentleman's name, Roderick Drayton, and I see an Xfinity logo. So I mean, I can't tell anything. You can't even make out a license tag number on any of these vehicles that are shown here. So the quality of the video isn't good enough to even, you know what I'm saying? That's fair. Thursday's Child, that's fair. You think that she is up to her neck in Gannon's disappearance. That's fair. I'm not trying to get on anybody's case here about having any theories or ideas. I'm just saying, let's look at the facts that we are aware of so far, and let's not jump to any conclusions regarding these facts. So that's all I'm saying, is we don't know. I mean, this video has been clearly edited. I mean, we didn't sit here for 4 hours and watch this video and watch this truck come back, did we? It took 2 seconds, right? So how do we know it took 4 hours? We don't know that it took 4 hours. So law enforcement has not endorsed this video as any type of evidence whatsoever in any way whatsoever. Law enforcement just simply has not done that. So I'm saying, basically what I'm saying is, with as consistent as law enforcement has been with the public and keeping us up to date with where they are in their investigation, and they are publicly saying, we are not saying anything about this video, we haven't even watched the video, spokespeople are saying. They're very dismissive of the video. So we don't know. That's all I'm saying, is we don't know. And so before everybody goes, oh, look, it's right there, you're saying Tisha and Gannon got into the truck, and then later on she comes back and she gets out of the truck, but Gannon does not. First of all, you can't see if somebody gets out of the other side of it. You can't see if somebody gets out of the other side of it. I mean, you just can't. So on the other hand, the bottom line here is you can't tell who that is getting in and out of the truck. See, I take comments like this with a grain of salt, because to me that's just rumor. That's just hearsay. I don't know what that is. You know what I'm saying? I there's no way for anyone here to know whether or not law enforcement actually provided that video to the mainstream media. There's no, when I hear a spokesperson from law enforcement say that, then I'll be like, okay. And yeah, there's a lot of theories as to why Danielle went over a lot of those theories last night as to why this video was even being made public. There were theories thrown around that, and I don't mean that in a negative way, thrown around. I mean, there were theories expressed that the possibility that it was used to put pressure on Tisha. I disagree with that, because they're not going to risk. They're not gonna risk putting the public in an uproar over they're just not going to risk putting the public in an uproar just to put a little pressure on this woman. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense to me. You don't make that, you don't put somebody out there in the public and when they're already getting death threats. That's completely unethical. I'm not, law enforcement's not going to do that. They might take the video, say, hey, come in, we have a couple of questions for you, and then show her the video and be like, look, we've got you on video. We've got you on video, and we've got you and Gannon getting in the truck, and then you've got you coming back 4 hours later, and Gannon's not getting out of the truck. So what happened in that 4 hours? And if that video was plausible, I would think that there was enough. I would think that that would be enough to hold her, and say, hey, listen, where's Gannon? Because there's no place. If that's the last place Gannon was seen, then that would be, I would think that would, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a cop, but I would think that would be enough to hold her and say, you were the last person to see this boy. So where is he? I'm not seeing that, man. I'm just not seeing uh this video, I'm not seeing law enforcement putting a whole lot of investment in their investigation in this video. Just not seeing that. Their actions aren't showing us that. But here's another good point that I did not explore. Somebody else made another point. And sorry, I'm looking at chat here. Somebody else made the other point. We don't know. I mean, if this neighbor has surveillance, doorbell surveillance, how many other neighbors do? What did the other neighbors see? So we don't know anything. There could be, we have to keep this in mind. I talked about this the other night when I went live, and we have to take into consideration that we have no idea what type of steps law enforcement is taking to find Gannon besides the searching. We don't know what they're doing behind the scenes, like that reporter said in that report that I played earlier. To find out the way he said it, to find out whether or not there was foul play involved. And yet, if there is this investigation taking place, which I would imagine that's only responsible police work to find out if there's foul play involved, of course. There's no way. Well, I'm not going to say there's no way. I'm not going to say that. That's bad choice of words. But I would assume, again, I'm not law enforcement. I'm not an attorney, but I'm not even a private detective or an expert when it comes to finding missing persons. I'm nowhere near that. Neither is anybody here. But I would think that by now, with all the technology that there is, with all the surveillance that's probably out there, they would have found something to charge someone with if they were directly involved in Gannon's life and close to him. So somebody actually posted a theory in the comments of another video that I posted. I'm not sure if it was one of my lives or whatnot, but somebody actually posted an interesting theory regarding that video and regarding Tisha. And one thing that they said was that what if Tisha and Gannon got in the truck, and then Tisha got upset with Gannon at some point and said, "You know what? I'm tired of fighting with you. I'm tired of dealing with you," or who knows what happened, and then said, "You can walk home the rest of the way." And then something happened to him on the way of him trying to walk home. Who knows if maybe we have more or less a Casey Anthony type of situation, possibly where she had Gannon with her and she said, "Hey, I'm going to leave Gannon with a friend of mine so that I can go off and do this." But maybe this friend wasn't a very good friend, very trustworthy. She didn't know them very well. And maybe they allowed something to happen to Gannon, to say the least. Who knows? The thing is that my point is right there. Here we go. My point is exactly that, Seachask, is there's tons of speculation. There's lots of speculation, and the reason why there's so much speculation right now is because we have so little facts, and we have to keep that in mind. We have to be very, very careful. We can't just go around throwing crazy theories out there. We can't just go around throwing people under the bus, whether they're shitty people or not. Being a shitty person does not make you a murderer. It does not make you a kidnapper. It does not make you an accessory to kidnapping. It doesn't make you an accessory to foul play involving a missing child. Just because you're an asshole, it doesn't make you a specific type of criminal. And we have to be very, very careful with that. You can't just go around throwing accusations like that around just because you don't fucking like somebody. I don't like this woman. I think she sucks. I've been very, very vocal about that. And yes, somebody got mad at me because I compared the Shane Carey thing. There's a fair comparison to that. There's a fair comparison to that because everybody goes, you can't compare Shane Carey to Tisha. And I'm like, well, I'm not comparing them as people. That's not what I'm doing. I'm comparing the way people are reacting to Shane Carey to the way that people are reacting to Tisha. That is what I'm doing. There is a very, very, very big difference. I'm talking about you. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about you all acting crazy on the internet. That's what I'm talking about. You can't just go around jumping to these crazy ass conclusions, man. So all we've got right now are rumors. As far as this video is concerned, this gentleman who turned it in, everything that's quoted, it comes from this guy. We don't know how credible this guy is. Now, I hear he's a veteran. If he is, I thank you for your service. I totally respect that. There's nobody in the world that I respect more than a U.S. veteran right now. But the fact of the matter is I don't know the guy from Adam. Neither do you. So we don't know how credible this guy is. We just don't know. And everything that we've heard regarding this video has come from his mouth. Law enforcement has not confirmed anything that he has said, including Albert's reaction to seeing the video, including Gannon's father Albert's reaction to seeing the video. That is coming from him. That's not coming from law enforcement or anyone else. The press didn't hear this man say it. The press heard this gentleman, this neighbor, say that was Albert's reaction. You guys get where I'm going with this? We don't know anything yet, guys. We have to keep that in mind. That means that the less that we know, that gives us an opportunity. This is not a negative thing. The less that we actually know gives us an opportunity to be objective and to be hopeful. It gives us an opportunity to think objectively and be hopeful that Gannon will return home safely. We cannot jump to these horrible conclusions, guys. I'm not saying that I don't believe him, O'Clancy, but we have to be realistic. We have to be realistic because we don't know him. I'm not saying he's lying. I'm saying we don't have anything that can be considered fact yet. That is hearsay. What I'm saying is what he has said is only his account, no one else's. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's a liar. That's not what I'm saying. I have no reason to believe he's a liar. I'm just stating the fact that we don't know that he's not a liar. Does that make sense? It's not about taking sides here, guys. All right, let me address this person real quick. This person who I can never seem to agree with. So what crazy conclusions are you speaking of? When the last person to see Gannon also lies about basic facts, timelines. There are plenty of facts. No, that's my point. These are not facts. These are hearsay. These are things that people say. These are accounts coming from people's mouths. These are not facts. If you take them as fact, then that is the biggest problem. Then you, people like you who take these things as fact, are exactly what's wrong with this investigation. That's people like you who take these things as fact are exactly what's wrong with the internet and everything that the law enforcement is afraid of the internet doing. We have to be careful with what we consider fact and what we consider to be assumptions. And what you're doing is a lot of assuming. You're doing a lot of assuming. So yes, these crazy conclusions that I'm discussing, that I'm speaking of, these crazy conclusions are that something horrible has happened to Gannon. We don't have anything to determine that that's actually the case. And I'm not going to let somebody like you come on here and shit all over everybody's hope. That's not going to happen, because you just assume the worst because you don't like some lady. And we're all in agreement. We all know she's a liar. But that's all she is. As far as we know so far, all she is a liar. Nothing else. We don't know anything else. So you've got to keep people like you who jump to these conclusions and throw around words that you're not qualified to use because you're not a psychologist. You're exactly what's wrong with things like this. You know, you're exactly what's wrong with situations like this. You're exactly what law enforcement tries to tell us not to do. Yes. And Rhonda, I'm going to go ahead and elaborate here on your thing here, on your comment. I really want to have the hope, but obviously there is something wrong there. And if she lied, she is causing lots of stress and money to look where it isn't needed. I agree with you. I agree 100%. But this does not indicate in any way whatsoever that Gannon is not still with us. I remember Danielle made a good point last night. You know, she kind of, without saying so, I know, but without saying so, she was kind of talking about what I was talking about the night before last when I went live. The night before last, when I went live, I made a very, very, very strong point. And my point was that if you have come to the conclusion that Tisha has done something awful and is getting away with something awful, and you have come to the conclusion that that's the case, then there's no way that you can realistically have hope that Gannon is alive and coming home. You can't have both. And I stand by that. If you are in the back of your mind saying Tisha killed Gannon, even though you don't want to say it out loud, but if you're in the back of your mind saying Tisha killed Gannon or had something to do with Gannon being dead, you're still acknowledging that you think Gannon is dead. And if you are doing that, then you are giving off false hope. These blue hearts, they don't mean anything if you don't believe that he's alive, that he's gonna make it home. So you have to dismiss that. You have to be objective. That's my point. And she made the point, well, you can still have hope and you can still be realistic. Fair enough. Fair enough. But let's elaborate on what's realistic. What's realistic is everything that I've just been talking about. What's realistic is we can't make out what's on that video. What's realistic is we have no timeline on that video. What's realistic is the only thing that we know for a fact about Tisha, and we don't even know that for a fact, because again, we can't make out what's on that video. So we still don't know for a fact that she's lying about the timeline, do we? But we do know that we saw an asshole conducting an interview. I know that's what I saw. I'm not afraid to say that. I saw a woman who I think is an asshole conducting a television interview and focusing on herself and not focusing on where her stepchild is. So I'm not, that's where I'm at, man. But that's the extent of where I'm at. If law enforcement is sitting here telling us that there's no criminal investigation, then there's no criminal investigation. We have to assume they're telling the truth. Why would we sit here? How productive is it to sit here and think, well, law enforcement's lying to us, and then start going down that rabbit hole? Why would law enforcement lie to us? Nah, man, that's crazy. That's where we go wrong. Okay? These are professionals who handle this all the time. You have to trust their judgment. You have to trust how they address the public. And the fact is, they're being extremely generous by keeping us in the loop as much as they are. We're getting updates almost every day. Whether it's from them or whether it's a statement from the family, we're getting updates from them very, very consistently. That doesn't happen a lot. We have to keep that in mind, guys. So, and yes, we can all agree on that, Joni Lee. We can all agree on that, unfortunately. I just don't think it's healthy to focus on that. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it's healthy to focus on that. We have to assume if law enforcement right now is publicly saying we believe Gannon is still alive and we are operating on that assumption, then we have to trust law enforcement that that's what they're doing. It's that simple. It's that simple. I'm not saying to blindly trust law enforcement. That's not what I'm saying. You know, whatever cops say, do it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm the guy that's like, question everything. But their actions are showing that they're not the type their actions are showing us that they are not dicking us around. You know, they're being consistent. They're keeping us in the loop. But why would we focus on that? Why would we focus on why focus on that negative? What good does that do? Why not focus on having hope? Why not focus on the fact that law enforcement is operating under the assumption that he's still alive? Why not focus on the likelihood that if they are publicly saying that they are operating under the assumption that he's still alive and he's somewhere, then wouldn't it be safe to assume that they have done that they have put together certain pieces in their investigation to lead them to believe that? Wouldn't that make sense? So why focus on the negative? Why sit here and go, oh my God, it's another day. Oh my God. Yeah, that doesn't do anybody any good. That's completely irrational. Why would we try to not only would why would I want to focus on why would I want to be irrational in the way that I'm thinking about this case and then try to spread it so everybody else thinks irrationally as well. What good is that going to possibly do? That's what I'm talking about, Mojo Joe. We got to stay positive, guys. That's the only I mean, that's the only productive thing to do here. It's not productive. It's not helpful to the to Gannon's family. It's not helpful to Landon. It's not helpful to Albert. You know, we have to be hopeful here, guys. Why would we not? What sense does it make to sit here and go, "Oh my God, it's another day and it's cold. All this and all that." Yeah, like we all know that. We all know that. You know, we're not dumb, ignorant people. We're all aware of how bad the situation could potentially be. But doesn't it make sense to focus our energy on the positive, on the potentially positive direction that this could go? Yeah, I know all about the candle in the basement. That could be completely irrelevant. That whole situation, there's nothing to indicate that at least not yet, but there's nothing to indicate that the there's nothing to indicate that has anything to do with Gannon going missing. Snail Strickland, I think most people do. Uh, at least in this community they do. Um, but I think most people kind of just, they also uh they're very capable of listening to reason as well, you know. Um so I mean, look, I've got 120 people in my chat right now, and nobody's being at each other, nobody's being disrespectful. I've got no trolls so far. Everybody at the end of the day here is very hopeful that Gannon's going to be found safely. We've got 120 people in my chat right now, which I'm extremely grateful for. And there's really no new updates. I haven't, there's no new updates in the case. They're just still looking for Gannon. That's it. And so I take that as 120 people who logged on here just to put their hearts together and build some hope and put it out there. I choose to believe that. And I have no words to describe how grateful I am for that. All right, so I have a Kimmy monster. Okay. I'm grateful to have a Kimmy monster. Thank you. Let's hope it does, Joni Lee. I don't know if it's Lee or Leah. I think it's Lee, Joni Lee. But I think the case will pop open any moment too. But let's hope that it does in a positive direction. Yeah, let's hope it pops open with them finding Gannon safely and bring him home. Yeah, man. I completely and 100% agree, Snail Strickland. Copper Star, you're funny. Yeah, so and I get pretty passionate, I get pretty emotional about certain things, man. And let me tell you something, man. One thing that really gets me, man, is missing kids. Anybody that hurts kids, I got no patience for that shit. It really gets to me. It really gets on my nerves, and I have a real hard time coping with that. And it's like, so at my job, right? I work in a 2-story building, but it's a very big building. It's a wide building, right? I work at a fitness club, and it's the biggest fitness club in the entire area that I live in. And it's I mean, we're talking like it's got a rock climbing wall, it's got a full-size movie theater in there, and everywhere you need to go to work out, you've got like 4 pools, and a jacuzzi and sauna. You got all the fixings of just the best possible fitness club you could join. And it's not cheap. And my the building has lights all around the base of the building to illuminate it, and we can do it any color that we want. And yesterday I and I've been doing it for a couple of nights now, but yesterday I was very vocal about it. I was telling Danielle about this last night. We were kind of laughing about it. And I, uh, I I go to turn on the lights because it's getting dark. You have to illuminate the building, and you can see it. When it illuminates, you can see it from the highway. It looks like a nightclub, like a really swanky, huge one. When it's lit up like that at night, and you can see it from the interstate. And I go to turn it on, and one of my coworkers is like, "Oh, you make it pink. You got to make it pink. Valentine's Day is coming up. You got to make it pink." And I was like, "Nope, it's got to be blue." Right? And they're like, "No, you make it pink." And I'm like, "Nope, it's got to be blue. It's got to be blue." And then my boss, my supervisor, standing there, and he's like, "Why does it have to be blue?" And I was like, it just does, because I didn't want to come off like I get all weird about like telling my coworkers, and I'm just true crime junkie, and I get obsessive about cases. So I didn't want to like get into that. And I tried to kind of just, I was like, yeah, it's got to be blue. And that was my answer to my supervisor. And he looks at me and nods, and he kind of looks at me and he goes, I need a better answer than that, like he didn't say it, but he was like, uh, so I'm like, all right, look. So I explained to him the whole Gannon stock thing, and I explained him the whole case, and well, not the whole case, but I explained to him what was going on, and I explained why the blue lights. And then he just looks at me and nods, and he goes, I can dig it. so yeah, I got my way. So until there is some sort of break in this case, at least those lights at my job are gonna be blue, period. And I will fight somebody over it. So that's how seriously I'm taking having hope for Gannon coming home and coming home safely. So I'm gonna look at chat a little bit here. Yeah, Janelle. Yeah, I exercise a lot. It's funny. This channel is not intended to be a true crime channel at all. If you look at the comment that I have highlighted here, if you look at the comment as to that I have highlighted here, that's what the glare is. It's an acronym, and that's what it stands for. That's what the acronym stands for, and it's basically my I struggle with depression and anxiety, and I'm very open about that. And that's the method that I basically use to manage it, to manage my depression and anxiety. And it works. It works for me. It's in no way me trying to push that on anyone else. Maybe inspire others, hopefully, but I'm real big on the accountability part. I think that's something that that I truly believe is the first step. The awareness and the accountability, and when I say awareness, I'm referring to self-awareness, and it's something that works very well for me. I don't believe in taking medication. Now, that's for me. I don't believe medication works for me. I'm not saying that people shouldn't take medication. If that's what works for you, then that's fine. But this is a method that I've learned to use for myself to manage my own anxiety and depression. And I've been much happier generally since I started doing that. But I'm passionate about certain true crime cases, and so I discuss that here. But in order to address your comment regarding being in shape, it's just because that's the method, the main method that I've used to manage my depression and anxiety, has been through exercise. So I exercise a lot, and yeah, I purposely got a job at a gym, so that I could. Uh, I don't make a lot of money, so I got a job at a gym so that I could have the means to be able to exercise and to be able to um, uh, self improve, if that makes any sense. So that's a big deal for me. Self improvement, and being on a path towards self improvement at all times, as much as I can, is very, very important to me. I don't believe in making excuses. I don't believe in putting blame on other people. Um, so so this is, yeah. Uh, so exercise is merely a method that I personally use to kind of either get I either get really into my own head, or sometimes I just need to get out of it. And exercise will allow me to do both when needed, and that's what I do. And so it's been very, very positive for me. And I smoke cigarettes like an idiot. But it's pretty funny that because I'm that I'm that moron that will get on a row machine and do like 6,000 meters and then be like, oh man, I need to smoke. Yeah. uh so yeah, it's yeah. So I don't necessarily, yeah, I you know, I don't I don't exercise for the sake of vanity or anything like that, because man, I'll still I'll tear up some Chick-fil-A, man. That's, you got to enjoy the good things. um I love Chick-fil-A. I love McDonald's still. Big Mac is still one of my favorite foods, has been since I was a kid. But you know can't be perfect. And sometimes I diet, I'll do intermittent fasting from time to time. Uh, and that helps spiritually too. I like to keep into perspective a lot. I like to keep into perspective, the things I need versus the things that I want. And it's very surprising to me lots of times where it's very surprising when to find out um, things that I thought I needed, but turns out that they really are in reality wants and not needs. So I'm very, very careful about that, and I pay close attention to that from time to time, and it's crucial uh, when it comes to growth, to me. So. Um, But yeah, no. Oh, Clancy, you're absolutely right. I will quit smoking soon. That's one of my newest things, and I'm just like, man, I'm gonna do it. But it's funny, like uh going live, man. I still get nervous as hell coming on here, man, because I'm really passionate when I come on here, and at any given time, I know I could say something just so off the wall that could just like I get so like I wouldn't say paranoid, but I have this fear that I'm gonna like come on here and I'm gonna get so passionate, and you know, my anxiety is gonna get the better of me, and then I'm just gonna like blurt out something really fucked up, and, and then just and then this whole thing will just come to an end. But yeah, I consider coming on here and hanging out with people here in my chat. I love this. I absolutely I love interacting with the chat. I wouldn't do this. That's why I don't like make videos. I always just go live because it would be nothing if it wasn't for the chat. I absolutely adore hanging out with my chat. and interacting with my chat. I think it's an amazing thing that I get to talk to people from all over the world and interact with people from all over the world in other English speaking countries. It's pretty great. So yeah, it's fantastic. But on that note, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I'm gonna see about taking a short nap before I go to the gym, because yeah, I like to exercise before I start my work shift because it helps me get my head um, organized. You know, I get to organize things in my old noodle before and it makes it a lot easier to handle work. So thanks thanks everybody for logging on, guys, and we will do this again very soon. Maybe I'll go on late tonight. But I talked to Danielle last night, and I think we're going to be paneling together soon, sometime this weekend for sure. But yeah, so I don't know if she's going to go live again, because she's been very good about keeping you guys updated as well. And if you're not subscribed to Real Massacre Talk, please make sure to subscribe to her, because her channel, again, all the facts that I get that I don't get from news reports, I get from her and her team. So we work in accordance, as far as delivering facts. Like I said, we have a difference. We kind of differ as far as how we interpret those facts a lot of times. But we like that about our dynamic. I've been friends with Danielle for a very, very long time, and I trust her very, very much. And so thank you, Doodlebug, for dropping that link. So if you guys, Doodlebug just dropped the link to Real Massacre Talk, which is Danielle's channel, and she's been covering this case extensively. So go ahead and subscribe to her if you have not, please. And we will do this again very, very soon. Thanks again, guys, for logging on. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.